Hi, folks. Welcome to our Zoom talkback for Truce. So happy to have you all here. My name is Rebecca Wallace, and I am the marketing director at City Lights, and I've been running our Zoom events since April 10th, 2020. I love to throw that date out there because then we can think about how much better the world is now in many ways. Hi. So, those of you who are our audience members, you're welcome to have your cameras on or off. We do record these events and put them up on YouTube afterwards. So, if you're feeling shy, that's okay, but we'd love to see your smiling faces. And of course, there will be plenty of time to throw questions into the chat if you would like.
Oh,
So, I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Welcome. Something beeped and it wasn't me. I don't know where that beep came from, but that's okay. The beauty of streaming from one's home. Woohoo! Let's go around the room and quickly introduce ourselves. We'll start with our playwrights. Usually we don't have a playwright here, so this is wonderful. Tonight we have two. So, like, double the fun. Let's have you guys introduce yourselves, then we'll go around and say your favorite line or favorite moment from the production. And Kit, you're not allowed to say all of them because that's like tooting your own horn. Ha! All right, let's start with Mr. Kit Wilder. Hiya.
hi, I'm Kit, and I'm one of the playwrights of Truce.
Do you have
Oh, and I have to have a favorite line.
yeah, favorite line or favorite moment? What's something that jumps out at you?
I'm one of my favorite moments in the play, from the script anyway, is Georg's speech about mowing people down with a machine gun. Tap, tap, tap. I
Way
happen to like that speech a lot.
start us off with something cheerful.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
It's
Merry
very,
Christmas.
it's very well written, I must say. Hi, I'm Jeff Bracco. I'm the other playwright. And you said the playwrights are not usually here. Is that because they're usually dead, or just
Yes. Yes.
because they're too big? They're too big for us. But no, anyway, glad to be here. My favorite moment. I was gonna say it, and then all of a sudden I thought, oh, that's a bit of a spoiler. So
Oh, yeah, that's right. We should
there
see
are
if
some
folks here have
spoilers here.
seen the show. If you have not seen the show yet, please let us know like right now in the chat and we'll do our best. Everybody stare at the chat for a moment.
I
All right,
I
go ahead
would.
and spoil.
What's that?
Go ahead and spoil. Nobody said
Well,
their name.
actually, I was just reminded of another, as one of our other actors came, I was reminded of the rum punch scene,
Ah,
uh, which is great, which is a lot of fun. So I'll say that one for now.
Got it. And I do see a Gregory in the chat. Have not seen the show. We'll see it Thursday. There was one photo I was going to bring up and ask Angie about. Oh, someone else. Okay. So we'll be a little bit extra careful about spoilers. Obviously, we know that World War One continued after that. That's not a spoiler, but there are a couple of things we won't say. So thank you, Joan. Okay, Joan hasn't seen it yet, but you saw one of the old movies about it years ago. Yeah, I mean, the story has inspired so many interpretations, and it was really exciting to bring this to our stage when we first did 2014. Thank you, Kit and Jeff. Angie, our director, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Angie Higgins. I'm the director, and there are many lines that I love in the show, but the one that struck me the most when I first read it, that I brought up to the cast the first day, is said by Maggie, played by Lauren, and it's "I know what you're made of, love."
Mm, nice. Very nice. Thank you, Angie. Lauren? Natural segue.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I play Maggie Williams in the show, and yeah, like I don't want to spoil anything. Um, I mean, my favorite moment is just the guys in the trenches, I think. We always get a nice, like us, like women especially, we're sitting there in backstage, we got a long time to sit there and listen to the show then. So um, that part's always really fun because it's some of the more lighthearted um, lines in the show, you know, to contrast kind of the overall like goings on of the show.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Lauren, why don't you pick one of your castmates to pass it on to?
Let's go with Ray.
Oh, great. Hi, I'm Ray Renati. Yeah, my favorite moment, I think, is when I'm off stage and I can see the deserter going through her, I'm not sure her or his, um, all the physicality of it. It's really cool with the lights and everything. Um, Although I have to say, there is a moment that makes me laugh a lot, and I guess it's because I'm a Monty Python fan, but when the German general says in the trenches, and then she corrects herself and says in or between the trenches. For some reason, that just makes me laugh. But I can't laugh because I'm up there, but yeah, I want to laugh.
And thank you for pointing out, yes, there are, both of you pointing out there are humorous moments in this. It's not all war and uplift. It's also some nice human humor moments. And the run punch is funny too. There's some funny bits in the run punch scene.
Yeah.
Great. Ray, pass it on to one of your castmates.
Okay, Nishant.
Hello. Nishant, I play Jeffrey. Uh, One of my favorite moments in the play is I think when we all sing Silent Night. It makes me really happy, and I love looking at Georg while we're singing Silent Night, and I just love looking at Miles, his expressions I don't want to spoil stuff, but I just love the way he looks at the people he loves, and he has this very beautiful nostalgic expression on his face, and I feel like it's like a movie scene and we're all the background music for that movie, and it's like just gets me right in the feels. I love, and I think it explains what this whole show is about for me, and so I really enjoy that.
Lovely. Yeah, Miles has a lot of great expressions. As the marketing director, I spend a lot of time looking at photos of all of you and choosing them for publicity. And there's a lot of gorgeous shots of Miles. Thank you. Sarah, want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Benjamin. I play Anna Friedman, and I think catapulting off of Nishant, I think my favorite moment is "Oh Holy Night," which is just after we sing "Stille Nacht," and everyone is in the church in the church together, all together.
That song, your everyone's rendition of the song got a really nice mention in the Mercury News. The reviewer was really moved, particularly by that moment, and he said something about it would make anybody want to fall on their knees. And I was like, nice, yeah, gorgeous. Karen,
Hello, I'm Karen DeHart, and I play Mrs. Williams, and I also play Kurt's mother in one of the letter writing scenes. And like you, Lauren, I really love the trench scene, but there's one line that I always listen for every night, and I think it's so sweet, is "We will shoot in the stars out of the sky." I think that's so romantic and poignant, and it just, that line just moves me.
lovely. And some of you might know Ms. Lisa over here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lisa Millette. I'm the executive artistic director for City Lights, and so basically the producer of the show, and helping to assemble this amazing group of people. So I think I have several favorite moments, but like everyone does, I'm sure. But one of mine is "Merry Christmas English, Merry Christmas Fritz," and I also really like "Kom chonk." Which I thought said the train, but I'm told later that it's coming. But the way that Steve says that, it's so endearing. Oh.
Yeah, you learn a little German being part of the show. Nice. Oh, I think I see a Miles coming into the waiting room. I know he was working tonight.
Hey, there we go.
Hang on. He might not be on camera, so we'll feel his spirit. Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Can we start out with our playwrights telling us a little bit about the birth of the show and how it got started? I don't know if anyone here saw or was part of the 2014 production. Some of us were.
Karen was.
Karen was. Karen is our one cast member who returned from the previous production. Actually, let me pull up the photos since while we're talking about it. We've got a couple of photos here. We have Karen in the 2014 production.
No.
And then we have Karen with her castmates today.
Great.
Beautiful shots. Yeah, we're so glad you came back, Karen.
Yeah, I joke that a mother was sending her child to war in the first production, and a grandma is sending her grandchild to war in the second.
It's a
I
beautiful
suppose that in the midst of the second run 10 years later, I guess it's all right to say that Jeff and I actually wrote the role of Tommy's mother rather for Karen.
Oh,
I mean,
Wow.
we were going along. It's like, this has to be Karen. If it's not Karen, I don't know who's going to do it. So there you go.
I'm very moved, and thank you.
You're very welcome. You do it marvelously. I don't know who can ever do it ever again. So you're going to have an entire career.
A great grandma sending her great grandchild.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, we're going to have
10
to
years
do
from
some
now.
rewriting to get, Mrs. Williams in a walker, and but it'll work. It'll work 30, 40 years
We'll
from now.
make it
It's gonna
work.
Oh, that's lovely. I didn't know. I don't think any of us knew that.
Thank you.
Oh, how nice. Well, Kit and Jeff, tell us a little bit about how Truce came to be.
Please.
Okay, I'll start. I'll start because I pulled you in. So just when you thought you were out, I pulled you back in. This whole project, this whole magical journey of Truce is because of Lisa Millette, who came to me and said, "Hey, who knows that I'm a history nut?" And figured I'd know what she was talking about when she said, "Hey, what's this thing with this Christmas truce?" And this was about 2012, where the rumblings of centennial celebrations around the world were starting to be heard. They were going to do something around in London, and they were going to do something in this city and in that city. And Lisa said, "What's the story with this? And might that make a play?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, it sure might. Let me get to work on it." So I started reading about the truce, stories, letters, books, watching movies, watching documentaries about World War I, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized that I was jumping headlong into something that I thought might be, in a couple of ways, too big for me. It's a scary prospect to write about something that is so vast and epic and also so sacred to so many people. And I knew that I needed to do it. Sounds trite, but do it justice. And I thought to myself, I need a partner. And I can't think of a better partner to have than somebody who, like me, is a writer and a director and an actor and rather insane in ways. And the best friend one could ever have. So who also knows how to talk to me the way really nobody else does, and is able to get me to not go some places that I want to go that are best not gone there. So I called Jeff, and at first I asked Lisa. I said, "Lisa, yeah, can I invite Jeff on board?" And Lisa probably anticipated my saying it and said yes before I'd even finished the sentence. And I called Jeff that very day, and he said, "Yeah, let's talk about that." And the next thing we knew, we were taking a long weekend up at Lake Tahoe to start to hash out the structure and the form of the thing, and just sort of brainstorm together in between steak dinners and poker machines and cocktails in the casino bar. That's a whole nother story that I won't get into.
I
But
didn't know
that weekend,
I think
I
we
didn't know that's what
better.
the weekend was.
that weekend was something else. It was a lot of fun, but it was sort of a comedy of errors. But what resulted from it was, and I think Jeff will agree, the core from which we sort of spiraled out and got the arms and legs of this beast called Truce. And that's how it happened. And then we went home, and the process was was I'd write something and send it to Jeff, and he'd tinker and rewrite and send it to me, and then we'd sort of then read it together. It's like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. And first thing we wrote was the conflagration, the sort of the history of how the war came to be, because I found that was the easiest way in, is deal with the history first. And I knew that I was leaving, and I discovered this when I directed the show the first time, that I was leaving directors with a hell of a job taking basically a history lesson. It's like, yeah, turn that into something dramatically viable. I dare you. Uh, and then we went and just when we developed outward from that. And Jeff is remarkable because we laugh about it now, but Jeff always kept me from going over what we called the playwriting cliff. He knows that I love melodrama and I love big things and I love epics and and every now and then Jeff would look at me and without even saying anything, he would let me know that where I had gone, no man should ever go there. And it was time to take it back a step and make it a little more accessible.
Talk about no man's land, right?
Yeah, really. But it was great. I think our partnership on Truce was fabulous because we'd read and we'd discuss and we'd argue and we'd pull in things and we'd take out things and this and that and the other thing. But maybe he'll remember. I remember that the hardest thing in the world was how to begin it. We didn't know how to start it, and I kept thinking it had to start with Tommy and his family, and we kept going round and round and round. And I think it was Jeff who finally said, "No, it needs to start with the moms.
Mm-hmm.
Need to start with the women. Start with the women." And that's when we found its legs, and it went on from there.
Why did you make that suggestion, Jeff? Why was that the thing?
Well, I mean, this was a long time ago now. I don't remember exactly.
Really, I have spent the entire day thinking about these things to try to remember what happened.
I mean, I think we were trying to find something that wouldn't necessarily be the most obvious way to start it, right? Like we came up with the obvious reasons. And then we started looking, one of the hardest things about writing the play was which things we had to take out because there was so much. And one of the things we were both fascinated by were obviously the letters from home and the letters from the soldiers back home. And so the more we got into the research, the more we started to focus on what was going on back home outside of the trenches. And so that's why it was like, oh, well, what if we start there and start with the women and how they're feeling about what's going on in this war? Because we thought that would also be kind of identifiable somehow for our audience. We thought more as a way into the trenches, as a way into the war.
And I remember also we had a conversation, not late in the game, but right around the time that it was really kind of taking its sort of final shape, that that taking our cue from the character of Anna, that Anna the peacemaker and the heart of the show, that told us how important the women were. They have precious little stage time, I know, and I almost feel like apologizing, but when they're there, they're very much the heart and the pulse of everybody in this play. We all came from mothers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that to me is palpable. So,
well, and
so
also,
yeah, go ahead.
Characters also, I mean, the heart, but I also love the strength of that character. And as Sarah plays it beautifully, and as Caitlin did 10 years ago, bringing out the strength of this character, which really is kind of just such an important point, kind of a center point, a touchstone in the play. So anyway, so it just fits right in with that.
Oh, it's beautiful. I want to just jump in because there's a photo I really like, and I have lots of photos. This is one that I haven't put out in the world yet, and I really, really like this one. There's so many great photos of the two of them, and this is really a powerful one. Sarah, have you seen this photo before?
I have not. Wow.
What's going on there? If you can remember what moment.
I know exactly what moment it is, but I know we're trying.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Big spoiler, yeah.
Well, it's a great shot. And,
Big spoiler, yeah.
There's tons of beautiful photos of the two of you. So there's a nice one. And I just derailed everything to show that. But I shout out to our company photographer, Christian Pizzerani. Absolutely just spectacular. I can't even say it. Spectacular work all the time. And there's so many photos I never have.
The photos from this show are I mean, that's all I've seen so far, and it's absolutely lush and beautiful. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So Kid is in Virginia. He'll be coming out to see it. I've got a few photos from 2014, which I think you've seen, Kid. I absolutely love these rehearsal shots.
Mm.
These
Uh-oh.
are some of my favorites. So here we've got Caitlin Papp, who played Anna, and Max Takis, who played Georg. And so Kid also directed the 2014 production, and we have them. And is Max wearing a Warriors jersey? Yes, of course he is.
What you don't see in one of these is me standing there Hitchcock-like watching Max and Caitlin kiss about 47 times.
Which is not at all creepy.
Well, and that's what he used to do. Hitchcock used to do that all the time.
Oh my goodness.
He used to have his stars kiss over and over and over again, even when he didn't need new takes, just to watch.
Okay.
But it was Caitlin and Max, so they were fine with me.
Talk about derailing.
And back we go to.
I just want to say, I think these photos look very staged to get the director in there.
I don't know. I think it was me sitting there with my 2014 iPhone in rehearsal going click, click, click. And there.
I take my own photographer with me wherever I go.
Nice. Well, here's some shots from the production in 2014. And that photo of Max and Caitlin, we use that everywhere. It's just a stunning photo. And then, of course, the actual Truce, both sides meeting.
Yeah.
And you can see our scenic designer, Ron Gasparnetti, loves using palettes for this show. And it's just made such fascinating use of palettes. Actually, in both productions he did. And they add this great, just kind of grittiness to everything. It's beautiful. So, Angie, you came in to an already established play, a hit, to put your own stamp on
No
it.
pressure.
No pressure at all. Had you seen the 2014 production?
I did not.
Wow. Okay, so you really had fresh eye. Kid didn't like that. Okay. Not everybody saw it.
Dare
Angie wasn't old enough to
It
see.
is on them. That's right.
God bless you.
Yes.
Angie, how did you get involved and how do you approach bringing a new vision to a show that's been, well, obviously you direct Shakespeare, so you've done shows that have been done before. That happens.
That is true. I do love a good classic. Not just Shakespeare, but really any classic. But I came on board because Lisa was kind enough to invite me. And when I read the script, I asked her, if she could send me a copy. And when I read it, I immediately fell in love with it. It's exactly the type of story I love to tell on stage that has depth and meaning and heart and can make you laugh and cry and leave the theater hoping to do better in this world. So I immediately jumped at the chance and appreciated the opportunity. I will admit, I felt a great weight of the great Kit Wilder's previous production because everybody speaks so highly of it. So I'll be honest, as much as I would have loved to see it, I'm glad I didn't, so that I had no preconceived idea how it should be done, and was able to, take my own spin on it. I will say, you were talking about the first scene introducing the mothers right away, and it grabbed me right away. And I read it, but I also listened to the podcast and hearing the music and the voices. And I also direct musicals, right? So I like plays with music. That it just, was so touching. And really, I felt like that essence at the top of the show brought in why the truce happened. Right? That they were all longing to be home. That is what they were missing. That love, that warmth, that heart, the family. And so being able to capture that right in the opening moments of the show, and then it immediately blend into a war zone, just felt so powerful. And so it hooked me right away. Kit and Jeff also do this great thing within the script where they named every scene a line from the scene that's very impactful. And it's something that when I'm normally directing other plays and I do my scene breakdown, I actually name scenes with Jeff knows this because he was in Nora Doll's House that I directed. I'll name the scene. And I thought, these playwrights we're already on the same page. They already did it for me. So
yeah, I do that because it's how I direct.
Well,
when I'm directing.
We have
Yeah.
similar sensibility, Mr. Wilder. So, but yes, so it definitely was something I felt has, the power to impact an audience, which is what I believe theater is all about.
And you and I have talked about this, and you mentioned the word hope a lot. Hope in the darkness.
Yeah. I think it is that hope, that light in the darkness. And, I think I've mentioned this before. I feel it's a call to action too, right? When things are horrible and miserable, what will you do? Right. And it's that line that I believe Karen mentioned, right? That they were shooting at the stars, that those men who were in that trench, who laid down their arms, who came together, would make a choice not to shoot. And I think that's really powerful. And so, my hope, right, with any show, and it's funny, I told the actors this at auditions. I said, every play I direct, like there has to be a reason. And with Nora, for those of you that saw it, I was immediately hooked by this last little phrase where the husband that Jeff Bracco played said, I can change. And she says, then change. And I was like, right then, I'm in. And with this one, it was, there are many lines, but it was Maggie's line that I know what you're made of, love. And that idea to remind people that at the end of the day, we're not so different. We all just want to be loved. We want to be with those we love. And that's pretty much it.
Some might find it interesting that the line that we were shooting the stars from the sky, that is all, is not original. That was an actual line from a letter from a soldier who experienced the truce.
I did have someone come up and ask me, were these actual letters? And I said, I think so. I think many, many of the letters were actual letters, at least parts of them. Is that right?
They were. Everything that is a letter in the play was inspired by real letters, except for Tommy's. Tommy's are all wholly original because they had to tell a story that Jeff and I had invented. But the rest of them are interpretations of or expansions of a line in a letter or a topic in a letter. One of the last ones we added was the rum punch. We added that late in rehearsals. It was something that we needed there, which again is an expansion of just something we found, in some letter on page 19 of something,
They do sound like what someone would write home. So I think or write to your man in the trench. So I think what you guys did is just collected that information and subconsciously. I mean, we're having a very bad time of it, Mozart, on account of the bad weather. That's how they wrote then, and that is what they would say. So that's why I thought perhaps you did take actual letters and
well, it was the trick. I mean, I think Jeff would agree with me that the trick of to achieve an authenticity, the letters had to sound real.
They're lovely. Did good.
They have to sound real. I mean, and like Lincoln, it's the Bible and Shakespeare. That's how folks learned to write back in the day, and so that's kind of what you channel. And of course, and we read a lot of them. So we read a lot of them. So it was like, okay, you start to take on that, you channel that. Yeah. And that becomes, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say that, channeling them, but also like you hear their voices and that gives you a voice to write in. And their voices, of course, were so strong for us. So that's kind of, I think, where it came from.
Mhm.
Yeah, letters and documents from the period, and I should also mention the music is from the period, but with new arrangements by George Pasaras, our resident composer and sound designer, who created the amazing soundscape of World War One, but also new arrangements for this period music, which is really gorgeous music. Nice.
That's my grandfather who fought in World War One.
Whoa.
He was a looker back in the day. Anyway, I pulled that picture up. I thought people would like to see it.
Nice.
Next.
One of the things I wanted to mention is Angie is a fantastic director, and I can say that having been directed by Ms. Angie back in the day. One of the things I love about her directing is that she really immerses everyone in that world. And can you tell us about how you brought Tom in? And Nishant, I want to hear your response to how this was. There was special training from an actor who is also a military person to help them learn how to be soldiers on stage.
Yeah, obviously, whatever character you're playing, the more research you can do, the better, right? And so I felt it was a unique opportunity for the cast, anybody who was playing any type of soldier, to come and do warm-ups with Tom. Tom is a lieutenant commander in the Coast Guard. He's also served in the Army, the Air Force. He did a tour of duty in Iraq. He's also an actor. So, I knew, he said, how hard do you want me to be on like drill? And I was like, no, like my sensitive darlings, like, please don't be too hard on them. Just enough so they get a taste. But part of what I wanted to accomplish, not just with them feeling that sense of unity that you do when you are marching, when you're doing training, and that, it's such a short amount of time he was with them, but Nishant, or Miles, if he's able to get on, could speak to, my hope was that they had that sense of bonding that you had before you would go off to war with them, with
So he
these
was at
other.
one rehearsal, or he came to
He
more than
did
one?
two rehearsals. He did a warm up, and then he came back and talked to them about, the rifles, and did a little bit of a mini drill with
Nice.
them.
Angie, it's a long, long time ago now, and I'm old and can't remember a thing.
Tom was in A Few Good Men.
Thank you. Yes.
He was
Yep.
in
Yes.
In
Good
fact,
Men.
He was Lieutenant Ross, as I
loved
remember.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah,
I
well, we
will
did the
say
same
that-
thing there. We brought in a Marine who shaped those guys up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think is, it's important, right? For an actor to understand that. And so the other thing is, for me, movement is always really important in a show, right? To create the imagery. I knew right away the history scene, Powder Keg, that Kit was referring to earlier, where there's a lineup of history that I heavily wanted to use: drill, marching, flank, left face, right face, in the blocking. So it was really important to get them as in sync as possible. We use it in transitions early on. One of the first pieces of music I asked George for, even before I got the others that they were singing, was the military percussion. Because for me, it's like that beat and just driving these soldiers off to war was very important, and you can just feel it, right, in you. And I always think the soundscape is a character in and of itself, and I feel like that percussion and the marching just it really ties it all together, I think, what those soldiers are experiencing. And then when George, chooses to all of a sudden have this beautiful choral soundscape in the underscore, which really fits, the letters and, those sensitive moments. But yes, so Tom was, I think, a huge asset, and I think a great, I'm hoping that the actors feel it was a great experience, because I definitely saw the results in rehearsal. Yeah.
I've got a photo here of Tom working with the actors. And I heard a little laugh there from Nishant. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it was like working with Tom? What's
Oh, it was
happening there?
It was a wonderful experience. I think I remember the marching sequences, and I remember at one point we were on stage and we were just marching in a circle, and we just kept going in a circle like that. And Tom just told us to keep marching, but I feel like, and we kept on going for a while. And after a while, I started noticing that we were we were so scattered. We were all walking in a circle, yes, but we were all walking to a different beat. Everyone had their own kind of cadence with it. I feel like by the end of the march, we all had the same chop 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 chop, the same rhythm, and we were walking to that same beat. And we all had to individually kind of correct ourselves and kind of find our place in the group. And that was that was kind of eye-opening for me, because I was like, in this military experience, you have to kind of be a cog in the machine, this big machine, but also your individualities, your individual effort, you as an individual really matter, and you have to kind of find your place in this. And I feel like I don't know, I had like a certain kind of understanding of what this meant. And I would also, so that's one thing. And I would ask Tom about, the place of humor in war. And that was something I was really confused about, because it's like this guy, Jeffrey's, cracking jokes. And I was like, how? But also then I feel like, I feel like Tom made me realize that, Jeffrey's probably very scared, and this is his only way of kind of dealing with it. And it's not something he's rationalizing. It's not something he's rationalizing to do. This is instinctual. This is like a defense mechanism that's kind of primal, that kind of tells him to you know, just kind of, he's trying to get out of this somehow. And even if it means creating humor to kind of, maybe not physically getting out of the war, but maybe mentally getting out of the war, he'll do it. And that was something that I feel like, soldiers, they do all the time. And I feel like that's what Tom helped me realize. And it helped me ground Jeffrey as a real guy, as me, I do that. And you forget that as a person when you're judging these characters. You're like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And I feel like that was a moment where Tom really helped me just see myself in Jeffrey.
Nice. I've got a production photo too of soldiers. This is one of the shots that stands out for me. And also gorgeous lighting by Paul Skelton. Got beautiful lighting design, beautiful set design by Ron Gasparnetti. Look at the stage, the texture of the stage. When I first saw that photo, I was like, ooh, this stage is frozen. It looks super cool. Beautiful. Thank you, Nishan. The next thing I was going to say was a spoiler, so I'm not going to say it. I see there's a question in the chat. Dan asks, had any of the cast, other than Karen, of course, seen the 2014 production? Anybody else? Raise your hand if you saw the show. Okay, so it's Kit and Jeff and Lisa and me. In a way, as Angie said, that's
my friend Mary, who's in the show. She's not on tonight, but she had seen it.
She had seen it. Oh, nice. Yeah, so you bring a fresh approach, right? This is your first time seeing the script, and I love the mix of that. And Karen, of course, has been on our stage at City Lights many times, and it's always a treat to have you back. I found a photo of you in 2014 talking about why you love the show. I'll send it to you. It's very heartwarming and sweet. Do we have other questions from the audience? I know we have some audience members with their cameras off, which is fine. Lauren said she listened to the podcast version, and Sarah as well. During the pandemic shutdown, we did a radio play version of Truce.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, we recorded it from your homes.
I still have a bunch of outtakes from it in my phone, and then when I'm driving around, sometimes those will just come up if I'm shuffling all my music, and sometimes I have to pull over. I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah, so this play is we've taken it on at City Lights 3 different times, kind of like Rocky Horror. Interesting. So that was a different experience. Lauren has been on our stage quite a bit. Ray has. Sarah, is this your first show at City Lights?
This is my second.
Your second. Oh, that's right. You were in Coney Island Christmas.
Yep.
Yes, before my time.
Kit. Yeah.
And Kit directed you in that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What brought you back? It was the script, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very cool. What's it been like being back? Are you enjoying the experience?
It's been so long. It feels like I've grown up so much since Coney Island Christmas, and there's been so many. The theaters has grown and evolved.
Mm.
It feels like sort of feels like coming home, but also feels like experiencing something new. So it's been really special to come back. It's such a different kind of phase in my life and do another show here.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
Anna's a great role, of course.
Yeah.
As Kit
Yeah,
said,
very, very
Kit had a way of saying you described the four lead characters. There's the poet, the patriot. What are the four?
Who are we asking?
You.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You had this great way of describing the four lead characters in this show.
There's the poet,
Right, the
patriot,
poet.
the
So
warrior, and the
Georg,
peacemaker.
so Tommy is the poet.
Mm-hmm.
Georg is
Georg is the warrior.
Yeah.
Anna's the peacemaker. And I guess, but I don't, what was the other one? Wow, I sound really smart when you say it.
Maggie.
Patriot. No, isn't Georg the Patriot?
Well,
So
he could be. He's the
It's in
patriot and
that's
the
in my
warrior is
subtitle
both.
version.
I mean,
This
that's
is what I get
that's
for
even what their
asking
names
you.
mean. I mean, Georg Krieger is Georg Warrior. I mean, he's named specifically for
But
that.
also
So is
patriot.
Anna Friedman is Anna Peacemaker. Anna the
Right.
peaceful. So it's I don't. That sounds great. I love it.
You know what? This is what I get for asking you about something you said 10 years ago. So we'll just
There
move
you go. But I have a question for everybody. I have kind of a trivia question. I think I asked Angie this on an email the other day. But the three English soldiers have very specific names, and I wonder if anybody has picked up on those names. Tommy Williams, Archie Bates, Jeffrey Court. Why are they named that? Trivia.
Vaudeville actors?
No.
Shut my door.
Is this a Monty Python reference? I'm not kidding.
No.
Man, I should know that.
I'm
Angie.
wondering, but is Archie in reference to Archibald? Certainly not.
Nope.
No?
It's the last names.
Oh,
Oh,
so Jeffrey's not Jeff sneaking into the show.
Jeff, you know.
I don't.
They are Court, Bates, and Williams are the three soldiers that Henry speaks to by the fire the night before Agincourt in Shakespeare's Henry V.
Shakespeare's Henry V.
That is why they are named that.
Wow.
Jeff and I thought we'd be cheeky.
I had actually forgotten that. That is
cheeky bastard.
I'm currently reading Henry IV, so if it was just a couple more books later, I would have known this.
You'll get to that next.
I'll get there eventually.
And now it's going to mean something even more to you.
I gotta read it. No, thank you
It's like
for
an
that.
Easter egg, some kind of Easter egg.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Anyway.
Here I've been spinning my wheels on World War I trivia, and I just had to go back to Shakespeare.
Angie might know a little bit about
your love and mine, so and Jeff's.
I have a really nice photo of Lauren and Eddie that I wanted to pull up too. Now I have to find it. I called it Lauren Letter. And this is going back to what you said, Kid, about the women being the heart of the show. Like back home, everybody just wants to get back home to where they are loved. Yeah, it's a nice shot. Lauren, it's great to have you back. Lauren's like, was that a question? I don't know. This is 2 Christmas shows in a row for you because
It is.
Yeah.
A year ago was the last time I did a show at City Lights, and it was the same exact slot.
Now, I have a random trivia question for you. I couldn't be at opening night, but I looked at the pictures of everybody on stage. Are you wearing the dress from the Games Afoot on opening night at the opening night party?
No.
Because it looked like it. And I was like,
what did I wear at the opening night party? I wore the Games Afoot dress last night.
Maybe it was a picture from that. I thought it was an opening night picture because that was a great dress. I love that dress.
I know. I bought it because it was like one of my favorite costumes, and I was like, well, it's a holiday dress. I'm gonna wear it again.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions for our friends here? That's okay. That's okay that we don't. I actually have a couple more photos. I really like. Oops. Oh, there's a question. Hi, Dan. Dan is always good. Dan asks great questions. Question for Karen. What was it like coming back to the play after 10 years? Easy to slip back into the role, or were there changes you made in your performance? Good question.
Um, well, you know, you live 10 years more, you know, and my son back then was 14 and now is 24. So there's a different, you know, when you use your life experiences to bring forward emotion, he's at the age where, you know, he could be called, right? So I guess there was more of that present. Um, it's really it's the same show but very very different. The so For my own personal, I think it's generally the same. A loving mom, um, but again, just 10 years different life experiencing going on inside. And then they were just staged so very differently. So I do feel as though it's two different productions, and it's just an honor. It's a pleasure to be able to step back into it and with a whole new set of eyes and a whole new cast. So I feel like I had a really unique opportunity to do that, and I'm very grateful for that.
Mm, very nice. One of my favorite photos that I've been using in a lot of the publicity is this one here, and I don't know that it's a real
That's your moment, Ray, that you like.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
I don't know if it's
deserter.
too much of a spoiler. Does someone want to talk about what's happening here? I'm using this photo everywhere. The lighting's fantastic. There's so much emotion. And Angie, do you want to tell us what's going on here?
Yeah, so this is the deserter they're referencing. I hear the original production, the guy who did it had a really cool tattoo on his back that got revealed.
Oh, yeah.
But I do have a woman playing this role, so that just wasn't in the cards. She's playing it as a man. But I think it's such a powerful moment, and Adriana's her movement is fantastic. And all of her, she's an ensemble member who plays many different roles in the play, and she's just amazing. Also has a fantastic singing voice. She stands out in all the harmonies. But yes, I think the sound with the lights coupled with her movement, the emotion that she is putting into the moment of the desertion is quite powerful.
And this is a
Kit,
deserter who's standing in the rain, right?
correct me if I'm wrong, Kit, but you didn't anticipate that he was going to get that tattoo. I mean, didn't you cast him?
I cast him. I had no idea he had that huge tattoo.
Oh, I thought he got it afterwards, and then
No,
you're
no,
like,
no.
"Oh
He
my
had
gosh."
this huge tattoo, and at first we were trying to figure out how he should do it, and so we didn't see the tattoo, and then it occurred to us it's a huge tattoo of a giant bird
Wings.
and
Yeah,
wings, and he's
He
yeah.
taking
had
flight.
wings on his
Let's
shoulder blades.
yeah,
Yeah.
and as he
He
moved, they
went
would
like
like
this, and it was raining,
Yeah.
and these
I mean, it was
huge wings on
yeah,
his shoulder blades. It was badass.
it was kind of
It
badass. Yeah.
was.
But I also think this one is beautiful and
Yeah.
extremely moving
Well,
in a different way.
what I love, Angie, is you encouraged them to have such emotion, and you don't have to see the face. And I'm off stage left, and I can tell, then you can tell her she's almost just shaking with emotion, and her face is teared up, but you know that they know exactly what she's feeling, even though her face is to the back wall. So that's just an intensely beautiful moment that, you know, you act with your whole body, and she is giving such an emotional moment with her back to the audience. It's really quite lovely.
I put into all of my work as an actor, director, writer, whatever, things that have affected me. You know, I borrow from what's worked. And that moment is in a sense an homage to Shawshank Redemption.
Oh,
You know, standing and cleaning and washing in the rain after your escape, which moved me no end, you know, when I first saw it. And it's one of the great moments. So I thought, I'll put it in my play. Jeff, can we put this in the play? Or is that going over the cliff? Tell me.
and Jeff didn't stop you, so it must have been okay.
Not in that case. It was nice. That's good. It's originally, and as it was originally written, it's meant for him to, for that soldier, to strip down completely.
Mm.
Someday, maybe, who knows?
And then, of course, as we've said, Angie works a lot of movement into her productions and has it's kind of a dancer's moment. It's lovely. Those of you who saw Nora Doll's House, absolutely, there was just this wonderful kind of fluid movement, especially in the transitions between the scenes, and gorgeous. Lisa, I want to ask you a question. We are coming close to the end of our hour, but I am curious why you decided to bring the play back, because not all plays get a 10th anniversary production. So this one's special. Why now?
I think that the beautiful parts of humanity that are lifted up in this play about a true story, we need to continue to hear and feel and celebrate. Maybe even more now than 10 years ago. And also it's not a small thing for a theater company to commission a play. And especially a company of City Lights size.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done it, I think, 3 times, which is like a little fun for City Lights in over our skis or whatever that is. But we like to push ourselves, you know, and so one of the things I love about it, I love things that are based on truth. And I love that there is something now, thanks to Kit and Jeff and City Lights, honestly, that wasn't there before. Like, we created something together that now is there and can live on. And I wanted to see what it was like to do it again. And I love anniversaries too. So 110 years was we've been talking about bringing it back in 2024 for a couple of years. It also, you know, it moved a lot of people. And so I wanted it to have a chance to do that again. And the other exciting thing, I got a little bit nervous about the comparison, not from the audience as much as like what Angie was saying, you know, from the designers. Like, would Ron even want to design the same play again? And then we internally got very excited because we realized, wait, we're actually better at some things 10 years later. We actually have better equipment. We have amazing designers that really have their own voice, and that we've, you know, I all of a sudden we were like, we have to do it again, because we can take something that we felt very proud of 10 years ago, and it will be lifted up even more because of all of our own knowledge and experience and how we've changed in the last 10 years. So yeah, it was something that we were all looking forward to bringing back. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do it again in another 10 years.
Yeah,
You know,
Karen,
I mean,
mark it down.
Angie really showed us how the heart of it can be just the same and just as solid, but a lot of the other things different. I remember when, Angie, when you said, how would you feel about me casting a couple of female presenting actors to play men? And I think I said something like, well, we need to know the answer to the question, is it a pants role? Are they playing male identifying people? Or are you turning those roles into female identifying characters? That's a big difference. And you said, no, they'll be playing men. And I'm like, if they're the best ones for the roles, do it. And I love them. I think they're doing such a great job. I don't for 1 second think, oh, did they just not get enough men? Like not once. And also the difference with the deserter, that is night and day and still brings out so much emotion that is true to what that must have been like, but so different in the approach and which parts we're focusing on, the frustration and that Shawshank thing versus the pain and the sadness and the wanting to crawl into a ball. Both are 100% legitimate and connected to the play beautifully. It's just one artist saw something else. And that's one of the cool things about live theater. I mean, is the interpretation of the artist that's in charge of that particular show at that particular time with those particular actors. And it will never be the same. And that's what's so amazing about it.
When Max Takis saw the production on opening night, I believe, Max was the original Georg. And the next morning he emailed me and he said he admitted that it was a little surreal because it put him right smack. He said it didn't put him back on stage in the show. He said it put him back in the rehearsal process. It suddenly he was making those discoveries with you guys as with the new production. He said that it was that the greatest credit to the show is that the second production is just as strong, if not stronger. And that's great. That means that it lives. Without me, without Jeff, without hoping and praying. It means that you guys have done it and made it a real honest to God thing that now lives on by itself.
A lot of audience members, we have a lot of very dedicated audience members who've been coming for years. And a lot of people who come up who saw the show 10 years ago. And almost to a person, they say, we loved it before and we love it now. We just love the nuances, the differences, the changes. Just lots and lots of kudos about the show being the same but not, and loving both of them.
Oh, that's so nice.
My dream for the show is that it will be published and that it will be done everywhere by people none of us know. That is my dream for this story, for this play. So if anybody knows anybody.
Not bad. Not bad for something that started with two guys in a casino.
Not bad for something that started with Lisa saying, hey.
Yeah. Hey, what's with this truce?
I have an idea.
I hear about the truce.
I do think we need to write in that Karen needs to be in every production.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, Karen, mark your calendar.
Okay, well, I have to find a spot for me. I'll put my thinking cap on.
The other thing too is that this is true in the publishing companies for certain pieces like Concord Theatricals, where if the soundscape is really critical to the storytelling, you can purchase it for extra. And I think that George's sound design and arrangements should go with the script if people wanted to buy the rights to that as well.
Agreed.
I mean, way back when Theater Bay Area did awards, this one got awards back in that time.
It's all because of the airplane.
That airplane. I mean, am I remembering correctly that we got that piece of equipment for that show? This is a Motu. It's a piece of equipment that can make the computer, I call it Move Over Tiny Unicorn, Motu, where I don't know why, where it will tell which speaker in the theater specifically you want the sound to come out of, and that airplane surrounded us.
I jumped out of my seat the first time I heard it. I was like, "What the?" Yeah, the airplane flying over. It's amazing.
Olivia is cracking up next to me, by the way. You're behind the assistant state. The assistant. Okay. Right, so we didn't buy it for that. Okay, so what? So Olivia's your assistant stage manager.
Who happens to be your daughter?
Interestingly, that was, or maybe not, that was the first Anna Georg scene that we wrote. Was the one where he talks about flying, because that's something that is very near and dear to me, and I suddenly realized and explained to Jeff. I said, I think that's the way in to let them, pardon the pun, soar. That scene, his ambition through the war is the key.
I love that scene. Yeah, another piece of trivia, and then we got to wrap up because we're after 8. One of the early readings of the play, I read Anna, and George, the sound designer, read Georg, and I remember reading that scene with him. And George is, as you all know, a fantastic actor, and I was just thrilled to read it with him. But I love that scene. That moment, I was pretty new to City Lights, and I was like, George is here, and I'm here, and I'm getting to read. George entered the waiting room, like literally as I said that, I got a notification George entered the waiting room.
Oh, that's fun.
That's I was a little starstruck actually getting to read with George because he's
Georg,
so good.
Georg and Tommy are actually named after 2 City Lights actors, George Soros and Tommy Gorobak.
I love it. I love it. Well, I don't know. He said he was there and he disappeared. We need to wrap up, but oh my goodness, George, I was just talking about you. I was just talking about the time that you and I read in the Truce reading. Did you hear me? And how I was totally starstruck because I was like, I'm reading with Amadeus. I can't.
Starstruck? What? I'm just a local boy, man.
But I had seen you in Amadeus and you were so amazing, and I was new to the company, and that was cool. I went home and I was like, I read with Amadeus.
That was fun. That early read was fun.
Yeah. George, we're just wrapping up.
I had to jump in and say hi.
Yeah, well, we're just wrapping up, and we have a question from Nishant that we don't want to forget. But is there anything that you want to say about the sound design or the arrangements that you put together for the music?
Well, I think that was the first. I think that was the first time we did have surround sound. No, it wasn't. Amadeus was the first one we did, but we did. I mean, the plane was like life changing for everybody. That's what we did, and we tried to recreate that for this particular. Like, I asked Dan to put our speakers behind the audience back so we can particularly create these moments. All I could say is that the vocal arrangements were written and developed as we wrote the play 10 years ago, and I was arranging them as we were rehearsing. I was talking to Angie about this yesterday, and they were writing the play as we were rehearsing, expanding the play as we were rehearsing. So we were building all this stuff at while we were building the play, and so that work having been done 10 years ago, I built on top of that, right? So when we did the Truce, the radio play for the podcast, I added more on top of that because I had a lot of stuff that's sort of in the can, as it were. And then when we did this particular production, I added like 30% more sound just because I had all that stuff locked in, and I had a basis to start the whole design and the music from. So I only expanded upon it this time, and it was great. It was really a time issue where now I had more time to build upon it, and there's like pretty much wall-to-wall sound. There's only one scene without any sound whatsoever. So now there's all kinds of stuff.
One of the reasons that I'm so excited to see it is because when we first did it 10 years ago, we didn't really understand how important the music was to the play.
Yeah.
And what we realized after the first production is that this is indeed, as you said, Angie, a play with music. And it's no less important than the words. And so I can't wait to see the production that has leaned into that more, as it should be, which is very excited about that.
And also, I know that Angie cast with the idea that people would sing and sing well, and that helped. I think when you cast way back when, I mean, you were casting obviously great, terrific actors and a few singers, but the vocal arrangements and the singing really stand out in this production.
Great group to work with.
Yeah. I mean, Caitlin Papp has a beautiful voice, and I think one of the things that Angie did that is one of my favorite changes is having Georg sing the solo part.
Gunnar.
I mean, Gunnar. Sorry. Come on. I think it's so I think it's so beautiful. And also this just reminds me, I can't remember, was it a middle school? It was a high school. When we did the podcast, it was impossible to try to get everyone to sing,
Oh, right.
especially everybody was recording from their own homes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we gave the music to a school and partnered with them so we could
It was
just
Aragon choir.
it was Aragon.
That's right. So they sang the choral music. Yeah,
It
'cause
was
we were all-
Aragon.
yeah, we were all like quarantined.
Hey,
Public
because
high
we didn't know
school.
how to we didn't know how to remote record everybody.
But I thought that was like a really brilliant partnership.
Brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, friends.
Anyway.
We need to wrap up because we're after 8. But Nishant, you said in the chat you have a question, so we're gonna take that question and then we're gonna wrap up.
Thank you. I'll make it quick. I just I had a quick question for the writers, Kit and Jeff. I've kind of created an answer for myself for this question, but I just wanted to know your guys' opinion. Why does what is Jeffrey's relationship to his Bible? Because he does have a Bible, and his relationship with God. I wanted to ask you guys what you guys felt when you were writing that. Why did you feel like why did the Bible? What does the Bible mean in the whole play? And then also, why was it given to Jeffrey to? Why was this a character? Why was this a thing that meant something to Jeffrey?
All I can, I just, when the soldiers are off getting on the boats, getting on the ships to go across either the Channel or later the Atlantic, if the American doughboys were heading off to Europe, women would stand at the gangplanks and offer every soldier a Bible. Every soldier had a Bible, whether they read it or not. It was tucked away somewhere. And again, the whole thing with his Bible and with Rum Punch and all of that, it was just something that it was kind of just something that happened. So I would suggest that your answer is the answer.
And
you know,
and I think it's similar to your answer about why he uses humor so much. It's a similar answer for why he's into the Bible as much as he is.
Also, I remember the early stages of that scene. And originally that scene was a lot shorter, and felt like we needed to earn a little more, to buy a little more time, get to know these guys.
Yep.
And before they get to the Christmas truce. So sometimes it's a logistical reason. You just got to make it bigger, and that's what you guys landed on. And
it also, to me, it harkens back to an earlier time. World War I was when the old philosophies of war and the modern inhuman philosophies of war collided. And to me, the presence of the Bible and somebody leaning on the Bible and quoting from the Bible and having that be an important part of his presence there, to me, reached back and clung to tradition, just as humanity and warriors were hurtling towards something that, well, ultimately became nuclear warfare. So that's kind of what was in my head. I mean, you can't write all that down without writing a whole nother play, but those are the kinds of things that were in my head as I did those things, and then was like, Jeff, does this work? Tell me this works, please.
No, I want to thank you guys for putting it in, because honestly, you guys introduced me to a beautiful piece of literature. So it was so thank you for that.
And this is your first show with City Lights?
Yes, it is. First show, and what a show. Yeah.
Well, we hope you'll be back.
Of course.
Oh, we've got one more question in the chat. Hi, Dan. A little off topic, but kudos to Lauren, Karen, and Lisa for fabulous performances last night at the Christmas concert. It was a blast. I wished so much I could have been there. Yeah, we had a benefit concert last night with several City Lights actors performing with the big bands, and it just sounded like it was fantastic.
It was crazy. We had no rehearsal.
Very silly.
What did you sing, Lisa?
I sang last night I went out with Santa Claus.
Oh,
You know, the sassy one.
of course.
What fun. And I remember seeing Mary Melnick saying on Facebook that she was a dream to perform with a big band and that she got to, and that was so wonderful. So kudos also to 19, San Jose's professional big band. They all the performers donated their time to be at this benefit. It was a great size house, and it sounds like it was so much fun.
It was crazy in there. It was a blast. I mean, the actors, I mean, our artists, you know, we're so blessed with all of you. You have no idea. I mean, people just show up, you know, I mean, no rehearsal. I'm like, hey, Karen, you want to sing a song? Lauren, you know, yeah, sure. You know, where do I go? And then when I say, yeah, there's no sheet music and there's no rehearsal, they're like, okay, we'll figure it out. Like it was just lovely. Like really just made my heart sing last night. And I was so nervous because they all sing so well and I haven't done it for so long. But it was a blast. And we just need a lot of support right now. And our artists really, really understand that and know how to give that support with their whole hearts. And it's really, I feel very blessed.
Very special theater family. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and also thank you to all of you for giving us some time on your Wednesday night to be part of this. I love doing these events. It's such a pleasure to hear a little bit more about life backstage and creating shows. We will be back next year for our next show, which is In Love and Warcraft, a very, what am I saying? Delightfully raunchy rom-com. That's what I've been saying. Delightfully raunchy, and it's hilarious. The script is so funny. I laughed so hard many times while reading it. So we'll be back in February. I think it's February 3rd for the next Zoom talk back. So until then, come see us at the theater. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your run.
Good
Truce
night,
runs
everybody.
through December 22nd, including an added Wednesday night performance next week.
And I will see everybody in a little over a week. I'm coming to the final
Yay!
Saturday evening performance.
Oh,
Yay.
fantastic. Yeah, so if you're at the final Saturday, you get to meet one of the playwrights. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful night. See you soon. Bye-bye.